the work, let me say. Because the first thing that comes out is this anti-business sentiment. Now, how are you going to do work here? Because this is a corporate. But we've got to remember one thing. Corporates are citizens. And if we start there, corporates have a whole range of rights and duties. Maybe rights, put them on the side, but maybe the whole range of duties and responsibilities as citizens. And how do we hold them to account? So how do we hold corporates to account in respect of bringing to life the equality clause, as I referred to it earlier? That employment equity section 6, which is effectively basically drilling down of that clause, clause 9. So who says, you know, because being like the lone voice in the wilderness is not, it becomes almost like this is a Lindy obsession. And sometimes I challenge my own seniors and I say to them, and I'm not in HR, by the way, Edwin. But I challenge them and I say, is the work that we're doing on LGBTI being done because I'm doing it or because I'm pushing you to do it? And as soon as I'm shoved to the side, all of this going to be, oh, no, Lindy's gone, let's go back to business. Or are we really talking about the business case of inclusion? Do we really see because you see, you've got to speak the language. Now, if we're talking about alliances and alliance building, if we don't talk the language and there is no meeting of minds around what we are talking about, it's going to be difficult to even get the messaging across, not only from a telling to, but deep understanding and appreciation of who we are and what we are all about. And when I'm saying business case, it's classic big business speak. If you don't show me what's in it for me from a business perspective, why I should deal with you as opposed to some other person. Because when they look at us as people, because you see sexual orientation, unless you're like, you do it really like overtly, it's typically invisible. And shall I use the example of femme women? They have a big problem because they are like totally invisible. Now, as soon as they show up with a female partner, like, really, are there no other men like that you could have sorted yourself out with instead of this woman? I had an incident just yesterday at the African market in Rosebank. I had this guy, one of the vendors there, flirting with my partner because she's like really girly girl, drippy. But that's the thing that I like, you see. And she was...
Okay.
I'm just illustrating a point, that if you're going to come and make assumptions around, because you look like this, you can't possibly be doing something wrong, because it would be wrong, you see. If you look wrong like me,
it's understood.
What did you think? But building alliances, I'd love very much to have hardcore activists creating deep awareness in corporate spaces. But I think we also need a dual exchange, because I think there's an awareness creation that you need too, from a business perspective. Because if a person is an activist and they've never operated in an environment, what would typically happen is a setup to fail. You would walk through that door, and because they enjoy it too. By the way, boardrooms are like complete mortuaries. They kill people. They just get slaughtered. Yeah, because they just see like easy prey and like boom, 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 ask questions that they would know that you don't look like you know the answer. And of course, you wouldn't know the answer. Not because you're stupid, but because you don't operate in the space. You know, just like if we take a chairperson of a board into an activist space, they would completely be slaughtered because they wouldn't know what the language and the etiquette is all about. So if I may volunteer, when I need help, because singular type or individual rah-rahing activism is not good enough. It takes you up to a point, but then how do you embed that? How does this become more than just about an individual's obsession and about, this is what we do in this organization. If you're not like this, if you don't catch up, to that. So when people come into an organization as new employees, and they find this embedded culture of, we don't even talk about it, because I'm tired of having people stare at me. Some people, when they see me for the first time, they do stare. It's exhausting. So I'm looking towards a time where I'm just, this is just Lindy, hi, and we get on with it until 5 o'clock and we each go home. But until that time comes, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I find that, when we talk about breaking down walls and barriers, some of them, amazingly, are wafer thin. It's amazing. Sometimes I've been like, I've come with my sledgehammer because I'm just expecting this super resistance. And I knock myself over with a sledgehammer because there was no need. You just need to go, and the thing just tumbles down. And it was just waiting for that person to come and do the tapping because it wasn't going to fall on its own. It wasn't about to fall on its own. It was never going to fall. It might have created itself into a major layers into a big wall, ultimately. All I'm saying is that there are areas where it's very difficult, where, yes, you do need a couple of sledgehammers, yes. And there are spaces where, it's not as hard, yeah.
Thank you very much. You've actually already started to answer the third question is, what do activists get wrong? Which makes it harder for you to do your work. Yeah. And you really pointed to the fact that there's this attitude towards business, towards corporates, an almost anti-business approach, which makes it very hard for you to do your work. So I'm going to go to the Bishop. What is it you think activists get wrong?